Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm creating a spring bangle nail set. I've already prepped my nails and applied my Jello peel off base coat off camera, so let's get started. So I'll be using half nail tips, which I haven't used in a while. I've already chosen the correct sizes, making sure each one fits correctly from sidewall to sidewall. To attach the tips, I'm using KDS air dry glue, also something I haven't used in a bit. But I'm just applying a generous amount of glue to the underside of each tip, spreading it evenly from side to side. Then I place the tip right at the edge of my natural nail and hold it in place for about 5 to 10 seconds or until it feels secure. I make sure to press down firmly to avoid any air bubbles. If you do notice air bubbles, just press that area down firmly or apply more glue if needed. So if the nail tip isn't securely attached or sealed, moisture can seep underneath, creating a perfect environment for bacteria to grow. So I'm changing the shape to coffin-shaped nails, so I'm trimming them and positioning each nail toward the far left side of the clipper to achieve a straight free edge. I'm using Beetle's Clear Polygel, which I find quite runny, so I have to work quickly. I usually apply 2 beads, but since I plan to change my nails in a couple of days, I'll keep them thin and use 1 bead instead. I'm using 91% isopropyl alcohol as my slip solution, dipping my brush into it as I work the polygel so it doesn't stick to the bristles. You don't want the brush soaking wet, so just lightly tap off any excess on the edge of the glass. Then I gently pat and spread the polygel across the nail to even it out, removing any extra product as I go. Since the consistency is quite runny, it's starting to move toward the sides and onto the skin, so I make sure to clean that up. You should never cure polygel or any gel product on your skin. After curing the polygel for 60 seconds, I'll remove the inhibition layer with alcohol. Once polygel cures, it leaves behind a sticky, uncured layer that needs to be wiped off before filing. For shaping, I'm using my McCart 100-180 grit file. I'll start with the coarser side, focusing on the sides and free edge to refine the coffin shape. Then I move to the cuticle area and gradually work my way toward the free edge, using back and forth motions to smooth out any bumps and even the surface. Since polygel files down easily, I'll be careful not to overfile. Next, I use a buffer block to smooth out any file marks. I do wish I had spent more time on this step. I rushed it and later you can see some of the marks still showing, so just be sure to buff the nail thoroughly. To remove the dust, I wipe the nails with a wet wipe. This helps clean around the cuticle area as well as underneath the nail. Now I'm starting on the nail art. For the base, I'm creating a jade-inspired look. I mix different colors together to achieve a light pink shade. On my palette, I combine Model 1's pink gel, Beetle's base coat, and Vanillisa white gel polish. I blend everything until it reaches a soft strawberry milk-like color. I initially added the base coat to create a sheer finish, but I ended up changing my mind later. I start by applying the first coat to all the nails, making sure each one is fully covered. As you can see, it looks a bit streaky at first, so I go in with additional layers. So in total, I applied 2 coats, curing each one for 30 seconds. For easier application, I place some white gel on my palette and use a long thin brush to draw lines across the nail. The lines don't need to be perfect or straight. Next, I dip my brush into alcohol and use it to soften and spread the white gel, creating a milky marbled effect. I don't cure it just yet. I go back in and add more white lines to enhance the marble look, leaving a few sharper lines visible for contrast. Once I'm happy with it, I cure the nails for 30 seconds. Then on my thumb, I'm going to create a bangle-inspired design using this referenced photo. I mix rhinestone glue gel with black gel polish since the black base helps give the gold chrome a deeper and more metallic finish. Once that's combined, I prep the nail for chrome isolation by applying matte top coat. While I'm at it, I also apply matte top coat to my middle and ring fingers because I'll be doing some chrome isolation on those as well. Then I cure everything for 60 seconds and wipe the nails with alcohol. Next, I start by drawing vine designs using a long thin brush and creating soft curved lines. I add another curved line on the opposite side, trying to mirror it so it looks somewhat symmetrical. Along the edge, I draw 2 smaller curved lines. I cure it for about 15 seconds before the gel starts to shift and spread. On the other side, I create another vine design. After curing for 30 seconds, I use a gold chrome powder from Meeny Mani Moo, which I got from Sally Beauty. I'll use the powder on the lid to avoid picking up too much powder or wasting any, then I just rub it onto the nail using a sponge. Now I'm adding 3D flowers using Gayo 3D sculpting gel in a pearly iridescent shade. I scoop up a small bead and roll it out on the lid with a silicone tool, then divide it into tiny pieces. I place one small ball onto the nail and begin shaping it by pressing down where the inner part of the petal will be, then tapering the outer edge to form the petal. I cure the first petal for 15 seconds before moving on to the next one. Each petal's inner edge meets at the center point of the flower. I'll let you watch the rest of the flower come together. I also created another flower at the bottom, and both are now fully cured. Next, I'll apply matte top coat over the flowers since I'll be outlining them with gold chrome. Once the matte top coat is cured, I use the same black gel from earlier to outline the petals. Because the flowers are small, it's a bit tricky, so I take my time with this step. After curing the gel for 30 seconds, I rub on gold chrome, which should adhere only to the gel lines. The index and pinky nails will have the same look. I'm using a purple and pink floral transfer foil, along with Gayo foil glue to apply the design. The glue works really well, so I definitely recommend it. I apply a thin, even layer, making sure every part of the nail is covered, and then cure it for 60 seconds. Be sure to check the instructions on your bottle for the correct curing time. Once it's cured, I place the foil onto the nail where most of the flower patterns are and rub it in thoroughly so the design transfers completely. I go over the sides near the cuticle, basically every area. Then in one quick motion, I peel it off like a band-aid. I repeat the same process on my pinky nail. Next, I'm outlining the flowers with gold chrome, so I apply matte top coat first. After curing for 60 seconds, I use the same gel mixture as before to outline the petals of the bottom flower on my index nail. I skip outlining the top flower since it's quite small. I cure the gel for 15 seconds, then rub on the gold chrome powder. I also outlined the flower on my pinky, so I apply the chrome there as well. Finally, I grab a nearby brush and just dust off any excess chrome powder. For my middle and ring nails, I'm creating the bangles. I start by rolling out a bead of Gayo 3D sculpting gel, making sure it's evenly shaped so one side isn't thicker than the other. Once it's smooth and even, I cure it for 30 seconds. Next, I'll be adding gold chrome, but instead of using my previous mixture, I'm making a new one with Macar chrome powder application. You can also use non-wipe top coat, and I'm going to combine it with black gel. I'm doing this because I want a thinner consistency. I mix everything together until it's fully blended, then brush it over the bangle, making sure they're completely coated. After curing, I rub on the gold chrome powder, and you can instantly see that mirror-like chrome finish. For the center of the bangle, I'm adding a crystal flower that I'll make myself. On a nail form, I squeeze out a small amount of rhinestone glue. I'm using colorful crystals in different shapes. I got mine from Amazon, but you can also find more affordable options on Temu, and I'll try to link both in the description box. I take pink teardrop-shaped crystals and arrange them into a flower design. Once I'm happy with the shape, I cure it for 15 seconds. Finally, I attach the flower to the center of the bangle using rhinestone glue. Once it's properly positioned, I cure it for 30 seconds to secure it in place. In the center, I add just a small amount of glue gel. I don't want to overload and flood it and lose the shine and reflective effect of the petals. Then I place 3 tiny gold caviar beads in the middle, which already looks amazing, and cure it for 15 seconds. After that, I apply more glue gel across the nail since I'll be adding beaded chains. I'm using a gold chain to keep everything consistent with the design. I lay the chain onto the nail, adjust it to see where to trim the excess, and use a cuticle pusher to straighten it across the nail. Before curing, I clean up any extra glue gel. I've been using quite a bit of rhinestone glue gel in this set today. The pearls and gems I'm using are from Dollar Tree. They've really expanded their nail art selection lately. I place 3 small caviar beads on each side and then cure everything. Next, I create 2 more bangle nails using the same process as before. The only difference is that this time I use clear crystals, and on one of the bangles, I'll add 4 petals only. For the next design, I initially tried using gemstones, but I didn't like how they turned out. They looked a bit tacky, so I removed them and switched to clear square crystals instead. At this point, I'm focusing on filing the nail with bangles, carefully placing them so they're not too close to avoid an overcrowded look. Once the final bangle is cured, I apply Vanillisa top coat over the entire nail, avoiding the crystal flowers. I really like this top coat, especially the bristle. I mentioned it in my previous video, but it just applies so smoothly and evenly. I finished with one final cure for 60 seconds. And that's the completed look. I know I'm a bit late to this trend, but I hope you guys enjoyed this spring floral bangle nail tutorial. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.